Generation Z is just the first demographic able to broadcast those stupid and humiliating things to the entire internet. Real opinions from real people you won't believe actually exist. Sleeping alone is vastly superior to sleeping next to someone or cuddling all night. I don't know how couples do it. I tolerated it for years across various partners. But the sweating, the lopsided bed, the breathing in my face with your morning breath. How the heck do people genuinely say, oh, I can't imagine sleeping at night without my partner in bed next to me? Like, why? Do you hate a good night's sleep? Now I'm a single father, and on occasion my 6-year-old will want to sleep in bed with me. And even this tiny person? Nah, you're making the bed lopsided and your feet are on me, and I was just about to fall asleep, but then she moves and it wakes me up. I feel like the insistence on actually sleeping that close is something that can't possibly last very long in a relationship. 6 months into living together with my wife, she and I were actively pushing each other away in our sleep. She practically annexed my half of the bed. I love waiting in airports. I just do. I love looking around and visiting all the little shops and stuff. I love seeing the airplanes take off and land. I love all the shops. I love the design. I love the complexity. I just love airports. When I was 10, my flight was delayed by 6 hours. So, little me just kind of sat there and looked around and marveled the design and stuff. I remember my dad asking me, "Aren't you bored? You want me to get you a book?" I replied no. I just sat there and really took in some of humanity's greatest achievements, society. How did we get from saying ooga booga to building things that actually fly? How did we all come together to build stuff like this? It's amazing. There is something so peaceful about an airport while waiting for your flight. Great for people watching and just being in the moment, because all you have to do is wait. No expectations or important things to do, just exist until boarding and don't lose your thing. I often imagine it's what limbo would be like. I just love airports. True crime is an unethical phenomenon, and people who consume this media should not be proud of themselves. The title says it all. True crime is unethical and it profits from the tragedy of others. Why is someone's gruesome death a source of entertainment for some people? The people interviewed who knew the dead, tortured, etc. person gets paid minimally and are likely just trying to get the murder solved or get attention for the cause out of desperation. It takes advantage of tragedy and should not be viewed as a form of entertainment. I understand watching fictional murders and assaults, like on Law and Order, but why does it have to be real? I see so many true crime fans making it their whole personality, and it's so disturbing to me. Bodybuilders are a turn-off for me. I'm not talking about men and women who go to the gym during the week to get in shape, look better, and feel better. Bravo to the men and women who actually work on themselves. I'm talking about the men and women who stuff their bodies full of countless supplements that have 6 syllables and every letter of the alphabet in them. The people who have muscles on their muscles. More often than not, these people's bodies are so lean that they look bizarre and unnatural. It's one thing to have an 8-pack, but it's another thing entirely when your 8-pack can cast its own shadows. The human body is not supposed to have single-digit percentages of body fat. There is nothing attractive to me about having oversized muscles and spending 5 hours a day in the gym. Many bodybuilders on YouTube spend their days nitpicking and criticizing food challenge YouTubers for being overweight and eating too much, as if they themselves live a lifestyle that is free from health risks. There's a noticeable difference between someone who is in shape and healthy and someone who is a bodybuilder. If you break your own stuff out of rage for things such as losing in a video game, you have mental and anger management issues. Things like sports and gaming, as a hobby or non-professionally, are supposed to make you distracted and enjoy. If small things such as simply losing in a video game makes you break your own stuff, you clearly have problems and aren't mature enough to play. Not to mention, if the game makes you angry, why would you even play it? Not to mention, gaming is expensive. Controllers are expensive. TVs are expensive. Game consoles are expensive. The game itself is expensive. Computers are expensive. The weird part is how common this is. As a gamer myself, I cannot even count how many times I've seen grown-up adults shouting insults in games every single time they died. I can't stand it when people say I like you the way you are, you don't need to improve anything, when I am actively trying to improve myself. I think you should try to improve in something every single day. It doesn't have to be much or even always only in one area, but you should go to bed at night with the knowledge that your life is now a fraction of a percent better than it was yesterday, even if that improvement was something mundane. People need a little tough love sometimes, and it's hard enough to stay motivated by myself. Sometimes critique can be a good thing to do. I think everyone is too afraid of offending everyone else though. Somebody replied, "What makes me angry is the whole fat phobic thing." Some absolute Chad will post a before and after pic of their weight loss and some semi-famous account will just go, Sweetie, get your bigoted fat phobia checked by #bodypositivity, and several thousand idiots will just like without a second thought. Not to mention that these are the same accounts that'll bully some guy for being 5'5" instead of 6'3". The concept of a multiverse in media is already overdone. Seriously, it seems like every other month people are hopping on this obnoxious multiverse craze. It started with Spider-Verse and has just gotten annoying. Multiverses, everything everywhere all at once, and every recent Marvel Studios show and movie are good examples of what I mean. We get it, the multiverse concept is kind of interesting. Now please stop using it for every storyline. I prefer a phone with an amazing battery to a phone with an amazing camera. Let's be honest, it feels like phone companies are ramming down our throats about how good their cameras are. They need to realize we need phones with better batteries. If we cared so much about cameras, we would all carry around digital cameras instead of our phones. The battery technology itself is on a plateau. But they need to realize it's okay to make the phone a few millimeters thicker to accommodate a larger battery. So many people buy phone covers anyway. Super thin phones would likely still have a market, but there are plenty of us out there who wouldn't mind a slightly thicker phone if it meant better battery life. And why won't they allow us to easily replace the battery like on older phones? I used to carry a second charged battery when I traveled a lot for work. Pop off the cover, swap the batteries, good to go. But of course, planned obsolescence means repeat customers, so that ship has probably sailed. I cringe when I see those inspirational videos of people giving money to homeless people. How about the videos where I buy all the flowers and fruits you're selling and give them back to you? I don't have any problem with giving money to someone who may need it. Even the old argument people give of, oh, you know, they're just going to buy drugs with that money, right? It's like, duh, I buy drugs with my money, who am I to judge? So I'm happy for the recipients of that money in the videos, because I'm sure in the short term, it helped them a lot. But what I dislike is that content creators use homeless folks as a source of content for their channels, and garner huge amounts of popularity from it. It's basically exploiting the homeless person for views. I would hope they ask permission to film, because if they don't, that's extra whack. Especially considering many homeless struggle with mental health issues. The small amount they gave away isn't going to solve their housing situation, but it will translate to a net gain for the person posting the video. If you're going to give someone something, just do it. But to do it, film it, edit it, and post it over multiple social platforms isn't altruistic kindness anymore. It's narcissistic self-validation, and using the less fortunate to do so. People who refer to their things as its brand are annoying. I always cringe when people constantly refer to their car as their Tesla or their phone as their iPhone. Like, bro, I'll be right there. Got to find a spot to park my Tesla. Bro, just shut up and call it your car. You sound like a twat. Why stop there? Call it by the full product name every time if you really wanna flex. Hey, man, let me give you a ride on my 2022 Pearl White Plaid Special Edition Sloppy Toppy Tesla Model S. I don't refer to my car as a Honda or my washer as a Whirlpool all the time. It's weird. Generation Z has absolutely no concept of embarrassment and I can't stand it. I'm a millennial, 1991, and I would never be caught dead doing the things they do on camera and in public. The dances, obnoxious things they do in public, all of it. I feel embarrassed just watching them. I would rather die by fire. How do they do that kind of shit in public and not want to fold themselves into a human piece of origami? Especially at their age? Hell, I'm embarrassed to take a picture of myself in public or in front of my family. It seems conceited to do so, unabashedly conceited. Ugh. Maybe this is what boomers feel about us millennials and Generation Xers. Somebody replied, I've frequently told my friends in my age group that we were all equally as cringe as Generation Z when we were teenagers. We just narrowly slipped under the wire and missed social media being big and everyone having smartphones when we were that age. Teenagers do stupid and humiliating things. It's part of being a teenager. Generation Z is just the first demographic able to broadcast those stupid and humiliating things to the entire internet to be reposted in perpetuity. I'm glad I'm not a teenager now. Abolish plates. Everything should be in a bowl. Okay guys, I know this is controversial, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Bowls are better. Now before you set me on fire, tell me, what can you eat on a plate that you can't eat on a bowl? A bowl's got security. Your food won't be falling off that thing immediately if leaned to one side or the other. You don't have to worry about the pressure you're using on your utensil as to not cause your food to fall off the plate. And it's easier to scrape whatever contents inside of the bowl into your mouth than it would be a plate. Grapes on a plate? Too risky. You're gonna lose some. Now grapes in a bowl? Oh yeah. Secure. Efficient. Delicious. You know what? Bowls and cups are great alternatives to plates. You cooking eggs? Got to get to work, but there's no time to eat these delicious eggs you just cooked on a plate? Put them in a cup and add some ketchup. Oh yeah. Eggs on the go, baby. That's how we roll. Now with this bowl-powered efficiency I've laid out for you here, plates are obsolete, but you know what would be a real bright idea? A plate that you can fold into a plate or bowl. Clubs are disgusting and are never fun. They're loud, so loud that bartenders can't hear you and neither can your friends. They're hot, especially when they have to close all the doors based on curfew laws. DJs have this horrible habit of playing exactly 30 seconds of a song before blasting an air horn and switching to a new 30 seconds of a song. People are drunk, packed in like sardines, spilling alcohol everywhere as they dance. There's never enough bathroom stalls or sinks, everything smells either like puke or body odor, and it costs a fortune just to get in there and pay way too much money for a drink. Lights are too bright, too flashy, and too colorful. Anyone who says they like going to clubs actually just like either getting completely wasted, not the actual club, or love getting picked up by strangers before you've even said a word. Plus you have to keep your wits about you just to keep safe. Having to watch your drink. Watching out for your friends. Making sure some strangers don't drag you off somewhere. Not driving after drinking. There is nothing appealing about a club setting that makes me say I'd love to go there and take the risks associated with it. It is extremely annoying that many restaurant menus use a QR code instead of paper menus. I don't bring my smartphone everywhere I go, and my parents don't even own a smartphone, so it's often the case that none of us will have a smartphone when we go to a restaurant. What if you don't have battery on your phone or internet access? The best are people talking about the cost of printing menus, like yeah, internet access and servers can appear miraculously. Phone-dependent places are awful. It is unfair to require a smartphone, as it is also unfair to people who may not be able to afford one. It should never be assumed that everyone has a TV or a car, let alone a device that just became widespread only 10 years ago. Somebody replied, I brought my baby boomer parents to a restaurant in the Pacific Northwest and asked for paper menus since they cannot really read from their phones. The server said they did not have any at all, and that they no longer even have access to a system to input our orders for us. Also, the website made us pay the total for the order plus tip before they would even bring out our drinks. It is harder to date someone who has a high body count than it is to date someone who has only had one long-term relationship. Okay, now before people attack me, I meant this for people who haven't really healed or matured, which, frankly, in this dating age are a lot. I normally hear guys and girls go, oh, I wouldn't be comfortable dating someone with a certain body count, and to each their own. However, I feel like being with people that have had 1 to 2 long-term relationships is harder in the sense that if you have a higher body count, chances are you were just in it for fun. Relationships are different and getting over them is harder than flings. Those can even be meaningless, but relationships, for the most part, are different. So I'm more worried about dating someone who hasn't healed much from the last relationship than someone who tends to have a lot of flings. Somebody replied, yeah, I was dating a girl and she would always bring up her ex like all the time. One day she brought him up more than any other time and I couldn't take it anymore, so I left and went home. She talked about him so much I started to miss him. So, yeah, I'd rather date someone who can't remember all the guys she has been with versus someone who will constantly be talking about one ex. Seagulls should not be a protected species. As the title says, seagulls in the UK are protected, so there's nothing you can do to them. I don't think this is right. I'm usually quite fond of animals. I've had cats, dogs, etc. and would love to have some ducks in the future. When I go to feed the ducks and swans at my local pond, the gulls will swoop in, make a load of noise, and chase the ducklings and cygnets away to get the food. They also shit everywhere and are a menace to any coastal town. They no longer fear humans, and I've had one swoop on me for my sausage roll. I won't give up my pastries lightly, so the seagull wanted the smoke, and that's what I gave him. But it's baffling that these vermin need to be protected. Moral of the story is, curse seagulls. Somebody replied, I like ducks, swans, and robins. I go down to my local pond to feed the ducks and swans and leave feed out for robins. Seagulls will steal the food, so it's not just an inconvenience to me as a person, but a rival for nicer birds' food sources, just because they no longer fear people as we can't touch them. I know sausage rolls aren't good for my health, but I make a conscious decision when I buy one. Getting attacked by seagulls doesn't come into my head when I make that decision. Seagulls are a menace to any seaside town, and while I don't condone going out and actively culling them, I don't think people should be punished for keeping them in check. People kill pigeons and rats without punishment to keep vermin in check, so why not gulls? The no sleepover at all rule that some parents have for kids is stupid, and a good example of helicopter parenting. Lately I've been seeing a lot of parents post stuff like I will never allow my kids to have a sleepover, and in my opinion that rule will do more harm than good. I do understand where the parents are coming from, but not allowing your children to have a sleepover with their friends is not a solution to the problem. Do I think parents should just let their child spend the night anywhere? No. I believe sleepovers should be allowed when the parents of all the children know each other very well and there is mutual trust. But not allowing them to sleep over at all is ridiculous. In the long run it will only harm your relationship with your child, because all they will see is their parents being unreasonable and not allowing them freedom. So I do think parents should have some rules for sleepovers, but outright banning them is not the solution. Somebody replied, I had tons of sleepovers at my friends' houses growing up, and they slept over at mine too. Our dads were there and it was never a problem. The dads would be cooking on the grill and we'd be playing games outside or in the playroom. Then we watch movies, eat ice cream, paint nails, and the mom makes sure we brush our teeth and go to bed. Wake up, have breakfast, go home. If it was a school night, we ride our friend's school bus or the mom takes us to school. It was honestly so much fun, and I am so glad my parents and friends' parents let us have sleepovers. I even learned stuff about other cultures at sleepovers. I had both a Filipino friend and Ukrainian friend as kids, and their parents made us food from their countries that I would have never had at my own house. It was a great experience. We were good kids and our parents were good too. The dads would make dad jokes. The moms would make us brush our teeth. It was nothing creepy or weird. Staying over with friends is fun. People swear too much these days. Call me old-fashioned, but I wish every conversation didn't have at least 3 F words thrown in every sentence. I feel like swear words have just become a part of folks' vocabulary at this point, and it just sounds real mean and ugly for no reason. I don't mind if someone's angry and swears, I get that and I do it too. But when normal conversations are filled with swear words, it's slightly embarrassing. And it's also super embarrassing if people think swearing automatically passes for comedy, but I swear pretty often in casual conversation and my friends do as well. Not always in a negative sense. I think once you start doing it, it just sounds like any other word to you, because essentially it is. When a child is born with FAS, the mother deserves a prison sentence. FAS or fetal alcohol syndrome is an entirely preventable, often severe disability that mothers give to their children by abusing alcohol during pregnancy. There are no other causes for it. It usually causes intellectual disability, severe ADHD-like symptoms, mood disorders like depression, insomnia and various physical problems. FAS is incurable and comes with a high risk for suicide, because of its associated mental health problems. And all that happens to a child, just because their so-called mother didn't care enough to either make sure to not have a child or to not poison their child before it is even born. I find it unimaginably unfair that women currently get away unpunished while inflicting so much suffering on their own children. In my opinion, there is only one appropriate place for people who commit crimes against another human out of callousness with such severe consequences, and that is prison. Children should be screened for FAS at every mandatory checkup, and if it gets confirmed, the mother should be officially charged with child abuse, neglect, trying to poison her child, physical assault on her child, or whatever is the most appropriate for intentionally harming a dependent person in such a horrible way that it results in permanent disability. I think it is an incredible injustice that people with FAS are stuck with it for life while the person responsible for it bears no criminal responsibility and can even go ahead and make more FAS babies. Do you really think that these opinions were unpopular? Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe for more videos just like this one.